Welcome to Remembering You, a space for slowing down, seeing again, and gathering the parts of yourself that the world asked you to forget.
Each week, we wander through stories, ancient, personal, and collective, to explore how perspective changes everything. How what we look at and how we look can open doors to who we truly are.
Take a breath, feel your feet.
You've arrived.
Let's begin remembering you.
And God said, "Let us make man in our image."
Oh, God.
And our likeness.
Are we opening with patriarchy today?
Genesis chapter 1. Gives me keys to the kingdom. License to kill, baby. The story of creation here in the book of Genesis says, let us make man in our image.
Yeah.
There is an image of the divine that is being recognized in this passage, which I would have, in my first half of life, not connected to the ideas in depth psychology around archetypes and archetypal energy.
Yeah.
But it's all in the Bible, and the Apostle Paul talks about it all the time as well, and he's not my favorite person.
Yeah.
Jesus is my homeboy, and the Apostle Paul frustrates me.
Yeah.
And he uses this imagery from Greek literature over and over again. And it's just like right there.
So I think it's important to clarify, when you're saying man, you don't mean gendered man.
Mankind.
Mankind.
Humanity.
Humans. Humanity. Yeah. Okay. So that's
all of the spectrum.
Yes. Yeah.
Of people.
Basically, that we as humans are created in the image of God.
The ancient view from the Hebrew scriptures is that there is something imprinted deeply within us that we could say is an opportunity for self-discovery of what is that has been imprinted on us for the rest of our days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it sounds like Paul borrowed from the ancient Greeks.
Mm-hmm.
Their kind of idea of, well, an archetype, because I think that's where it originated.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have this right, if my kind of understanding of how the Greeks viewed this is the world is not just this random kind of evolution of objects and things and people and circumstances, but that it's everything is a physical manifestation of an original divine blueprint, that it's a way to maybe point to the way everything is spiritual, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, another way that Paul puts it is in Romans 8:29. Forgive me for quoting Book of Romans. For God, who foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son. So for the chosen, for those who are the children of God, the redeemed, he foreknew, he knew it was coming, that they were going to come into the family of God, be born again. It was predestined within that becoming part of the family of God that they are conformed, they take on the same image of the Son.
Mm-hmm. But only if you're born again.
Well, we could talk about how certain passages are interpreted and defined, which the Apostle Paul leaves things wide open for universalism if you read it from some perspectives.
Okay. So what's your journey with archetypes been like? Like, how do you understand them, experience them? Why do they matter?
Well, before we get there, let's define what is an archetype. From psychology. Maybe take it a little bit. You started to lay it out there.
With the Greek. Yeah. Well, then of course, so, I mean, scientists, so it's not just religious people that have been pointing to, like we could go all the way back to Plato, who believed there was this ideal, an eternal form of things like beauty or justice or even a mother or a father or a sibling. I mean, literally any kind of experience or thing that a person can have in life. There is some kind of primordial, fundamental, original blueprint that exists, and that is why we experience it, and that is why we experience it the way that we do. And then, of course, so theologians have written about this and philosophers, but then even from a scientific perspective, the internet told me as we were preparing for this that Johannes Kepler, the astronomer, believed that the human mind could perceive the laws of the universe because it was stamped with the same geometric patterns or archetypes used by the creator. And in evolutionary biology, long before we understood DNA, humans observed that nature follows inherited emerging patterns. Like a bird doesn't learn to nest. It's instinctual. So I think prior to evolution, scientists thought of instincts as kind of like evidence, so to say, for archetypal underlayment to all that is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. To answer your question, there was an original blueprint in my perspective growing up, my faith tradition, but the idea was that the original schematics got ripped up and torn up. And so that would be the idea of original sin.
Yeah.
And sin consciousness. And then you have to go through this process of taping back together all of the schematics. And there was a new, Apostle Paul talks about it, a new man. And that was a schematic, a detailed description, an outline for something that was beyond experience at that point. And so that was the pattern. There anything that was good was from God. Anything that was bad was from the devil. And so ideas of the trickster being a force for good, that was not a part of my perspective. It was black and white. It was either good or bad. And if you're good, you're coming from heaven. And if you're bad, you're coming from hell. And if you're bad, you're going to hell. And if you're good, you're going to heaven.
It's very simple. Yeah.
Very straightforward. So that was my cosmology of the self and the psyche. A lot of people that I talk to today who have grown up in the church, or those who are not connected to any form of religion, the ideas of archetypes are not necessarily something that they've ever been exposed to or heard of. There's a specific, I would say, segment of our population who are interested in psychology and well-being and self-help, and those are the folks who are maybe a little bit more open or interested in what is the experience inside and how do I relate to that.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you were just a regular old person then who happened to stumble upon this podcast, how like, why would we care? Because I guess it can, this is one of those topics that I think can sound very esoteric and kind of, it's like, well, this is just for privileged philosophers who have the time to sit around and navel gaze about the existence of their being, or theologians perhaps that do this for their life path. So, like, do you see any meaningful way that just an average everyday person can interact with this?
Absolutely. I have a childhood friend. We were both on swim team together, and he posted a video of himself with his son at I think it was a WWF. It's not WWF anymore, whatever.
Oh, yeah, the wrestling.
Worldwide Wrestling Federation is.
Circus show that they put on.
Yeah.
It's delightful.
It's all theater.
Yeah.
And I am watching, and I haven't seen this friend since I was 15 years old.
Wow.
And we connected through social media years ago and have stayed in touch. I am watching him and his son chant with a huge auditorium, stadium, things that are a part of the theater of the moment. And the looks on their faces, the joy, the excitement as they're counting with the ref, 1, 2, 3, and then standing to their feet. Like, it was so ecstatic.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
the joy, the fun. I like to think of myself as high society, and I would never stoop to something as silly or like, and what they are participating in is connecting with, I would say, an archetype energy of the warrior.
Hell yeah.
And it's seductive and draws everybody in, and it's the same energy as college football.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's the same energy as pick whatever team sport or way that we come together and cheer on our side for the win. So being able to identify, oh, this is what it feels like when I am in warrior mode. Because we all have a sense of, it's time for me to fight.
Yeah.
And how do I invite that? When is it appropriate to invite that? What is the wisdom and the understanding around that experience? I would have a conversation with somebody if they were coming to me and talking about how they keep blowing up violently with people around them, whether it's work or family or community. And how do I deal with my anger issues? And I'm going to introduce to them the concept of the warrior from an archetypal perspective and begin to ask questions in such a way that they start to put together the dots of, there is a right way and a wrong way to use the sword.
Yeah.
So how do you use your power? How do you use your energy? And relating to it, that gives a story. And so when I have a story, I'm able to feel into it and allow it to feel into me, which is the practice of archetypes.
That's well said.
What was your first experience with archetypes?
Well, formally Carl Jung,
Mm-hmm.
which is punishing because that man did not write for the average person. I mean, his writing is just famously impossible.
Pretty thick.
It's so hard. So I didn't, it felt like I was 10 years old again trying to read William James. But, this time I'm in my late 30s, early 40s, and could hardly, I had this nascent sense. I'd keep poking at it. And of course, he's not the only one that writes about archetypes. And then a friend of mine, so this was like right after my divorce. So this is like 2019, maybe 2020. And she had a deck, kind of like a tarot deck, but it's not a tarot deck. It's an archetype deck. And she brought it to a women's retreat that we were on. And she wouldn't let anybody touch it because it was new. She would do a reading for you, but she's like, you don't get to, this is my deck, which was actually very good boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And she was kind of in this practice of getting better boundaries. But she did let me read the guidebook that came along with it. And I was immediately hooked. This woman that wrote the archetype deck talked about archetypes in a way that I actually understood. And I was like, oh, that's what Carl Jung was trying to put. Mm-hmm. And so it gave me words for experiences that I had been having my whole life, but just couldn't find words for. So I now have an archetypes deck of my own. Mm-hmm. And Kim Kranz was the woman who wrote the deck. And I guess it's funny, archetypes, I've never, it's almost like they're always, if I had to say that there is a core fundamental theme to my entire life, or potentially to this entire podcast, it's probably archetypes. Like archetypes underlies it all in a way. I've never focused on them directly in any kind of, like in a way that I would pick up a practice. And it's like, I'm going to engage with archetypes. But I will visit that deck from time to time. Like the day after Bianca died, I pulled the Thanatos card.
Which is the death.
Well, yes, mm-hmm. which is an initiation process mm-hmm. into the underworld.
Mm-hmm.
And I just it just dropped me to the floor. Like I just lost it. And simultaneously, there was this part of me that was like ecstatic. It was a simultaneous ecstasy and absolute incredible heartbreak. My daughter had died. This was like maybe 8 hours after she took her last breath. And so it was like a stab in a very painful heart that was just broken wide open, but also like affirmation that like the universe or God itself saw me in that moment, which is a pretty powerful goddamn thing. Mm-hmm. And, out of a deck of, I don't know how many, what's the probability?
78 cards.
1 in 78 cards. Mm-hmm. So, it's not 1 in a million, but, that is one of those moments where my scientific brain just doesn't even stand a chance. It is completely obliterated. So, yeah.
Thank you. I think it's important to note that if you are in a place, or when I have been in a place of being very nihilistic, nothing matters.
Yep.
There is no meaning.
Yep.
This is all just random chance. Archetypes, my Bible, even my kids, like nothing works for finding meaning, and it just all feels like a joke. So if you're listening today and you're like, archetypes, this sounds stupid, sure. It does. And it is a way to find meaning, because we are meaning-making creatures. And the most beautiful lives are the lives full of meaning. So however you need to find meaning, maybe it's not the archetypes today, but I imagine that there are some threads that we'll pull on today that can maybe give a little bit of understanding of how this is a cross-cultural phenomena. Like it's not just the West.
You mean with archetypes? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, no, yeah, this is in Zen and Hindu cultures. And I mean, every Native American, all indigenous cultures have archetypal language and kind of, we all arrive at the same place, in other words. And to your point about with nihilism and feeling like all is meaningless, that is an initiatory process that I think
100%.
almost all of us go through, whether we want to admit to ourselves that that is what we're experiencing. But like that is an archetypal energy that like that is its own archetype. Being feeling as if it's all completely pointless and there's no meaning in anything.
So in your meaningless state of the moment, let us meaning you.
And feel free to rail against the whole entire thing.
So much delight.
Yeah.
So as a child, there was lots of meaning around certain stories. Coming back to the warrior archetype, I think of the little song I learned in Sunday school. Only a boy named David, only... Oh, how does that go? Only a boy named David, only a little sling. Only a boy named David, but he could pray and sing. Only a boy named David, only a little brook. Only a boy named David, but 3 little stones he took. And 1 little stone went in the sling, and the sling went round and round. And 1 little stone went... You're going to auto-tune this for me, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Sling went round and round, and round and round and round and round and round and round and round. And 1 little stone went up in the air, whoop, 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 whoop. And the giant came tumbling down.
You had the best songs growing up. I didn't have that.
In my experience as a child, I would hear the stories of the shepherd boy David, or of the children of Israel and the miracles, and these were experiences that I didn't have, but I could feel the potential, the possibility within me for being a warrior and facing Goliath. And how many times have we been in a conversation, or we've heard somebody, or we've read something where somebody's like, it felt like a Goliath moment. And we all know in our very core what that means and what that feels like. Because that story is touching on something inside of us. And I would say it's the warrior energy.
And that, you know, whether it's Robin Hood, it's another version of it. But that, you know, the big
Superman.
guy. Yes. There's some...
DC Comics. We'll just go down all the Disney, go down the list.
Yeah, there's like there's the superhero itself, but then there's also the specific version of the little guy against the big guy. You know, us little people, the downtrodden, the ones who are not as advanced. And you know, of course, right now in our political arena and our business world, like that is just the knobs have been turned way up on the income disparity, and so it's just feeding. It's just feeding right into that pattern that has been playing out for all of human history. Yeah. You made an altar with archetypes on it, and it is in our bedroom. We've talked about it a little bit on here, but what's the story behind that?
So archetypes, I was introduced to archetypes through Father Richard Rohr, one of his books and some of his talks. And having a Franciscan priest who is very Catholic and yet also pro-science and psychology talk about archetypes, it was something that was out there. It wasn't something that was in here. Until I went through my men's rites of passage through Lumen in 2019. Because during that week, being in the woods and experiencing ritual and sitting in council and talking about the wounds that we received in our childhoods that we carry, there was a room that was set up with 4 archetypes. And it was referred to as the archetype room. And there is ambiance, candles, music, and these large displays of images depicting both the healthy and then I would say the unhealthy versions of the archetypes. And the 4 archetypes were the lover, the king, the warrior, and the magician. And I remember going in that room, and this is as my life is going upside down and my first half of life is ending. So there was a lot of distortion and pain and confusion. And I'm looking at these images and these different presentations of these 4 archetypes. And it was causing more pain and confusion in me than what I wanted to deal with. And so I remember going through the room, and there were some guys that were just like sitting cross-legged in front of these different displays and meditating on it. And I had done meditation on artwork and nature and candles and just used a lot of different things to kind of stir the soul. But for me in that time, it was too painful to lean into. And so fast forward to a few years after I went through the next step after being initiated, going through the men's rites, there is an initiator program where you go even deeper into some of the practices and the ceremonies that are a part of the rites and learn how to serve and to give in new ways. And I remember in that time frame, we were married and together. And so much of my life had shifted and come back together in some cohesiveness. There were still some pretty major, I would say, question marks in my world at the time. But I remember going into the archetype room, and these were the same images from, years before that I couldn't sit in front of because of the chaos. And there was a new, I would say, surrender that had happened in my life where I could look at the image of a king, and the way that it was portrayed as a good king, a benevolent king, a kind king, a generous king, and then a king who is the tyrant and mean and I would say evil and a despot. And I could allow myself to feast on those images and for them to ping inside of me and my experience of who I am and what is true in my life. And I didn't have to turn away or run from it. And so I think that was my initiation into the archetypes and beginning to recognize there's something here that I can engage with. Just like in my childhood, I would read the story of David and Goliath and then imagine myself as David in that moment and feel the power and the energy of that, and then go outside and run around and play and act it out. As an adult, finding that same energy or life or experience, maybe a little bit less childlike, because it's not a coming from a Precious Moments Bible, but it's coming from a little bit more sophisticated model and framework that Jung and then obviously Plato and everybody in between was kind of drawing out some of the truth. So all of that to say, come to that, so that men's rites of passage, the second time I went through as in the initiator program, I'm on the first day in the archetype room and I'm seeing myself. I'm having my inner experience mirrored by what I'm seeing on the outside with these displays. I was going to lead the morning sit, 20 minutes of contemplative practice for the men who are going through the rites of passage and also the initiators. And after my experience on the first day, I think it was maybe towards the end of the 5 days, so maybe the fourth morning, I got with the head of the program and I said, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I think I'm supposed to describe each of the 4 archetypes and invite men to take a posture for their understanding and how they want to embody the archetypal energy. And also included sounds vocally. It was amazing. So we started the morning sit, and I gave just a really quick thumbnail sketch of each of the 4 archetypes, and then invited everyone to stand and to feel in their bodies, what does it feel like, the king energy, and then the warrior, and then the lover, and then the magician. And I felt the power of individuals connecting with their inner life and power. And I was just like, oh, there's a whole lot in me to explore. And I got feedback from folks. They loved it. And I don't think they realized that it was an aha moment for me, that I, for the first time, was starting to open up and experience. So then are moving forward in our lives. And there was a day where it was just like, okay, I really need to be intentional. This was a year ago. Need to be intentional about using archetypes in my daily practice. And so I started looking for some icons that would work for me, and built a little altar, and here we are today.
I love it.
It's important that I say this because of my background. My objects are not magical or mystical. They don't have power in and of themselves, but they help me connect to what is true on the inside. In the same way that I connect with my masculine or feminine energy. We've talked about this in the past. I had a one-on-one with a friend recently, and I shared with him how I have a playlist, and the playlist is called Back Forest. And for a year, I would start my meditation practice sitting in the woods, listening to 6 songs. And the first 3 are like Viking, guttural, boom, 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 deep bass. And I would pound my chest and I would feel that rhythm. And I'm like, okay, I'm connecting right now with my masculine, with my warrior, with the force, with my spine that is strong and able to hold whatever needs to be held. And then the music starts to slowly shift into a flow, and it's soft and it's more tender. And for me, being able to connect with my energetic space of, I can feel my masculine and I can feel my feminine, and I'm able to stay connected to myself better throughout my day, doing what I'm doing in hospice work, holding someone's hand and creating a container where they feel safe to express whatever emotions they need to. And so my masculine and feminine energies are at play in that. And it's music that is being used to help me connect to what is true on the inside of my experience. So we can use objects, we can use music, we can use scents, a scent, a smell. We can use, there's a lot of things that can help us do our inner work.
Yeah, I think that's what I liked the most about Kim's Archetypes deck was I'm going to forget all of her categories, because it's more than just like people, like the king and the magician and the warrior.
She uses animals.
I know. She uses, hold on, I've got it in front of me. That's her story. So there are the selves, so people, which are like the magician, the warrior, places, tools, and initiations. So tool, like as objects. So we've got objects, places, initiations, people, which is so, like there was something in me that just, it's like I just rested and opened. I was like, okay, this is big enough. This is, because they really do hold the entirety of human experience, both in this physical world and in our interior kind of subjective space. It's always been interesting to me how I still cannot really engage with the Archetypes altar that you built. It's I don't really know why. Well, it's not so much that I don't know why. It's more like there's no need for me to figure out why. Like it's not a cognitive, oh, I need to analyze this because there's some kind of problem here that I should fix. But I check in with it pretty frequently. Like I'll just let my interior ping off of, and sometimes it's just flat. Like there's nothing there. And I think that's the way it's been now for a little while. Initially it was pretty reactive. I was like, big, ouch. Anyway, but that's not to say that all archetypes, like the broader, my broader experience of archetypes is still a delightful, it just kind of hangs out in the background, but those in particular are, yeah, there's just a lot there.
Is it so much meaning that it's overwhelmed by?
I think some of it has to do with perimenopause.
Mm-hmm.
To me, they feel very masculine.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not helpful for me right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know you didn't intentionally create them. I know that is just, it's reflecting something to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Which is part of the magic of
Archetypes.
of archetypes.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a suspicion so that would be one way to put it. Is just like there's too much. It's just, I think it's perimenopause related, and perhaps when that process is a bit more, when I've passed the other side of this very long initiatory process. Lord have mercy on me.
Mm-hmm.
Then it'll be interesting to see how the archetypes shift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I also know that, I have a few statues of sorts or icons, and I can't really engage with any of those either. So it's not just your altar. Yeah. But music is really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And nature is really helpful.
It is an interesting journey to go from a world where we find meaning in the touchable and tangible, in stuff, in objects,
Mm-hmm.
to then have meaning and need to find objects to convey that meaning onto. So one is finding meaning in stuff. The other is I have meaning and I need stuff to associate or connect with and through the meaning. So the reason that I have those 4 items representing the king, the lover, the magician, and the warrior is because I am very confident in my feminine expressions of those 4 archetypes.
Mm.
My masculine, I continue to work with and feel the depth or the breadth or the height of where I'm still going. And so it would make sense why you would point towards that feeling that you get from those 4 icons, that this is intense. Plus, my assumption is that you're feeling the way that I engage with and how it pings in me, or how I use it to draw out a depth in me. And that is the danger of any type of practice, is mirroring or following somebody, or trying to have a path or a pattern based upon what others are doing around us. And like,
yeah,
that just doesn't work.
No, no, it doesn't. Not at all.
Not appropriate.
No. I mean, I love that they're there, and I love having them in the bedroom. And they're in the perfect spot. I mean, there's so much about our bedroom that is just like, oh, it's perfect. But it would not be appropriate for me, for my own journey, to try to mimic yours, or like that. Yeah, that would just be absurd. It's interesting. I think archetypes is probably the best way that I know how to point to the existence of God, for the lack of a better word. Like in my leadership development program at Dell, I would usually start, I mean, after the whole, well, let's talk about what leadership is and what it's not, and get people's opinions. And, once we got past the priming them for the thing and setting the agenda and little drop-ins, usually the way I would frame development is, we can all understand the simplicity of, if I have a acorn and I want to grow an oak tree, it needs a certain kind of soil, and it needs a certain amount of light and water and nutrients. And if any of those are missing, if there's too much, if there's not enough, it's going to impact the way that tree experiences its life. And very similarly with our own human experience, we have kind of a version of light and soil and water, and if there's too much or not enough, our own experience is impacted. And it's like that points to there's this deeper pattern that is underneath everything. And of course, like, science can get super obsessive about, okay, we gotta like figure out what the pattern is, and we gotta define it in ever more increasingly minute, abstract ways. And all of that is like incredibly beautiful. And so many who take that path, like, and the fact that the scientists end up at the same place as the mystics do, like, that's yet another expression of the archetypal everythingness of all of everything. And so, anyway, that's why I say, I think archetypes is kind of it's my gateway drug into, like, fine, God is real.
You heard it here first, folks. Definitively, the question has been answered. Beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, we humans we do lots of crazy things with this idea of God. And we sometimes inadvertently and sometimes purposely cause ourselves and other people a whole lot of pain and suffering because of it. So it's just really complicated.
I recently met with a hospice patient, and the first thing out of her mouth when she heard that I was the chaplain was, "I don't believe God made the Holocaust happen."
Wow.
I looked at her and I was like, I don't believe in that God either.
Yeah.
And then she was fine.
She just had to get that out.
All she needed was that I agreed with her that she couldn't imagine or fit into a box that God would create the Holocaust and make that happen.
Yeah.
And then we moved forward, and she didn't want anything religious or deeply spiritual, so she let me read her Mary Oliver poems, and she delighted in that and asked me to come back.
That's how she connected to the divine.
She was finding meaning in that moment, refusing to find meaning in one place, but finding the meaning that she needed, which was human connection and shared experience in another. And that is the path of the divine in my Jesus-loving mystic perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all the same.
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if this is really an archetypal topic, but it kind of, now I feel curious how you would talk about God and the Holocaust.
I am for God. I am not for the Holocaust. Reminds me of that hat that I saw this weekend. Somebody posted on social media.
Oh, yeah.
Was wearing it at a Memorial Day parade. It was a red hat, and it said, "My grandpa killed Nazis." Just like, so did mine. My grandfather did.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here.
So what was your question?
I don't know that this is necessarily an archetypal one, but I'll make the question even harder. Can you put it through an archetypal lens?
The Holocaust?
Yeah, like how do you square God in the Holocaust?
So in my experiences, I started off with systematic theology.
What does that mean?
Systematic theology is being able to go through the Bible and pull out scriptures, so Bible verses, that help create a scaffolding for what you believe. So systematic theology is everything is a part of the system, and it all interconnects. And
so it kind of like formalizes or gives a structure to the... Oh, okay. Yeah, that's interesting. All right.
So you start off with original sin. Well, then you need soteriology, salvation. And then you've got the doctrine of grace. And then, well, we're going to heaven one day. And if you're going to heaven, then there's other people going to hell. So you need systematic theology that's going to answer the hell. And so there's all of these interlocking ways of describing or understanding what is truth. And in my life, there was the experience of Christianity being reduced to a set of mental beliefs and resuscitation of facts. And like the 80% of people who were just polled, I think last year, who had a positive experience in their childhood within a faith community, they have gone through bad times, hard times, and have retained or maintained a relationship with their faith. So the other 20% of people who grew up with a positive childhood experience of a faith tradition, they don't recover or they don't go back. So they would define themselves as a non-believer. So it is experience that gives meaning and helps sustain us. It's not having all of the right Bible answers in our head. So a church is not going to connect with those 20% of people if they change their style of worship, or if they start preaching from a different perspective. Like, it's just not, it's because of experience that they've had a bad experience, and their good experience, positive experience from their childhood is not outweighing the bad. And so my experientially, I came to a place of letting go of all of the systems to try to mentally and cognitively be in control of the game, which that is what systematic theology is control of the game with our heads. And found a God who didn't save me from pain and suffering, but accompanied or was present in and through. And that experience of love, like, you can't reason me out of that.
Yeah.
Because I had the experience 5 years old of a very positive, heart affirming connection with the divine. And even when things don't make sense, like the Holocaust, I can still feel the presence. I can still find meaning. And I think of people like Viktor Frankl, who lived through the Holocaust and was in a concentration camp. And because he maintained meaning, even though he would define himself as a secular person, he had a sense of hope and meaning in the deepest and darkest place of despair. So that doesn't answer your question about why did God let the Holocaust happen?
Well, I think the way it's framed is unfair, but...
or archetypes. I would say Hitler is a perfect example of the dark side of the magician and the warrior and the king and the lover. And like, let's put it all together. Like all of the darkness and the evil personified in flesh and blood, and they were able to justify some of the most horrible crimes against humanity.
Yeah. Well, and the good and bad or dark and light are fundamental to all archetypes. Like and that was one thing that Jung would point at, and of course I'm sure probably Plato did too, and many others after Jung. But that, I mean, it's in science. It's like every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Like, it's just baked into everything. That the duality is, perhaps that is the very first archetype, good and bad, and then from that arises all of the others, and they each have both. It's a very hard thing to learn how to not react or try to control when things are hard or when they're painful.
Yeah.
How about, to end, since I have my deck, my archetypes deck, I feel like I want to have you draw a card.
I would love to.
We'll do a little... We'll just play with them and see what pops up.
I love this deck because it's round.
Yes, the cards are round.
It's so perfect.
It is. Yes, it is. Well, here, if I'm gonna have you draw, I'm gonna give you this deck. The only bad thing about them being round is they're impossible to shuffle. They're just they don't want to shuffle.
So an archetype deck is not used to tell the future or connect with the dead or
like a Ouija board,
spirits or
yeah, no.
It is an opportunity to look into a mirror that is reflecting into your soul and asking the question, in this moment, what feels like home, what feels like it's very far away, what feels painful, what feels hopeful or full of joy or healing. There are many other questions kind of to ponder and to work with around the deck.
Yeah.
But it's all soul work. It's
it is.
inner work.
Absolutely.
Ooh, I like this one.
What'd you get?
The Kiss.
Oh. So what do you notice? So describe it. What do you see?
It has a sliver of the moon and two hands that are holding hand in hand.
Oh, yes.
So holding hands and a sliver of the moon, the kiss.
What comes to mind, or what do you feel looking at it?
There is a tenderness. My first question about the moon is it waxing or waning? The best time, it is a dark card, and so the best time to be outside and sharing the tenderness of kisses is when it's not totally pitch black new moon, but definitely not full moon, bright and clear, but kind of a little bit of ambiance.
Do you want to hear what it says?
Sure.
In her book?
Please.
So the kiss is in the tools part. So it's not like a physical object, but it is like the vow is another one. The gem, that's an actual physical object. Ring. Kiss. So it's in the tools. The touch, the chemistry, the sex. Before a first kiss, the air is electrified. Each breath is alive with possibility and magic. What will their lips be like? Their tongue? Do they want me in return? The archetypal energy of the kiss is a heightened sensation of merging with other, of letting in what was moments ago separate, to become one. It is risky but beautiful business. These moments forever change us as we move past the solitary self toward union and acceptance. This card suggests true intimacy is around the corner, which requires bravery and surrender. When the kiss takes a non-human form, it may be experienced as touching the sacred, hearing a whisper, or being graced by a divine being. You will recognize the presence of the kiss by cold chills and an awakening of the heart.
I like that.
That is.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Well, thank you for seeing what my deck had for you.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. So I guess whether you have a deck or whether you go out and find objects to make an altar for, or like how else would you say people can engage with archetypes?
So one of the ways is through a vision board.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
And vision boards are all the rage right now, where people are, what do I envision for the future? And that is connecting with the archetype energies within and welcoming that into our everyday life and future. We're not necessarily talking about dreamology, but dreams can also help us become aware of what the imagery of our psyche is, and start to engage with it a little bit.
I think archetypal dreams tend to have a different flavor.
Yep.
Or a feel to them, like they feel big. Or most of my dreams are just my brain processing and thinking. It's almost like anxiety brain. But I definitely have. Sometimes I wake up from a dream and I'm like, oh, that was different.
Whenever I have a dream with a snake in it, that is always wake up and listen, because there's something there. Snakes are my spirit animal, I think.
Yeah, that doesn't seem surprising to me at all. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Let's go get out the tools and have some kisses in the moonlight. That's my kind of a tool.
Yes. Amen.
May your inner world find reflection outside, and may the path that you're on continue to unfold in a way with much honor and celebration for the light and tenderness and care for the shadows in your experience.
Amen. Thank you, love.
Thank y'all. Till next time.
Bye for now.
Bye.